beloved members of the racing community who tragically passed away. Their legacy, etched in speed, will resonate far beyond the track. We remember them today.
Do you still remember Street Outlaws, one of the most popular TV series that changed the narrative, or perhaps restructured how you view reality shows? Have you ever wondered what happened to cast members who took a break and never returned to your screen? Join us as we reveal the mysteries surrounding Street Outlaws members that will leave you speechless. Kamikaze Chris. Kamikaze Chris was one of the toughest racers on Street Outlaws. With his rough look and fearless attitude, he instantly brought raw energy to the streets. But behind the extreme drives and the loud engine of El Camino was a man driven by his deep promise to a fellow racer. Chris wasn't trying to make a name for himself. Instead, he was racing for a lost friend. The El Camino he drives actually belonged to Flip. He was Big Chief's best friend who tragically passed away, even before the viewers began to know about the show. Every time Chris stepped into the car, he was always reminded about Flip's memories. However, alongside the emotional impact, he also wanted to dominate the list with each race. And for a while, that's exactly what he did. His races were filled with unforgettable moments and helped shape the early days of Street Outlaws. But it didn't stop there. Eventually, he stopped showing up for race nights, and fans were left with the same question every time: what really happened to Kamikaze Chris? Well, Chris suffered a terrible accident during the testing of a car's performance on track. Interestingly, it wasn't his regular El Camino. It was something totally different, and it was too fast to handle. The car ended up flipping multiple times, leaving Chris severely injured. The effect of the crash didn't just affect him physically, but emotionally too. It's the moment that makes him think, is this still worth it? And Chris fell prey to that decision, leaving Street Outlaws behind forever. But that wasn't the whole story. Even after his departure from the show, fans started talking about him. His El Camino became widely recognized, and he's now an integral part of the show's legacy. In the world of Street Outlaws, many racers fade away with time, but Kamikaze Chris will always be remembered for his fiery performances and his true support for brotherhood. Lizzie Musey. Lizzie Musey was one of the most beloved female racers on the show. She was the daughter of the famous engine builder Pat Musey. Lizzie brought years of experience and raw talent to Street Outlaws. Her car, named Bonnie, became a fan favorite. From the very start, she proved that she could keep up with the best, and even beat them. Fans loved that confidence in her. She wasn't just trying to be the best female racer, she wanted to be the best in the show. From a very early age, Lizzie always found ways to make her dad feel proud, and her time on Street Outlaws was just another opportunity to do the same thing. She was also involved in a relationship with a fellow racer named Kai Kelly, and together they became one of the most powerful teams in the series. She always dreamed of winning championships that paved the way for future generations of racers. But life doesn't always go as expected. In 2023, Lizzie revealed that she had been diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It wasn't just a roadblock, it was a life-changing moment for her. The once strong and fearless driver we came to know was now facing the biggest battle of her life. So Lizzie had to make the final call. Fans knew from the show that Lizzie wasn't the type of person to give up. Instead, she chose to continue racing. It wasn't easy anymore. There were days when she felt tired and weak, but Kai and his family stood by her side, ensuring the emotional support she needed. Even the racing world wrapped their arms around her throughout the process, showcasing their unwavering love and support to her. On screen, Lizzie was known for her racing ability, but off-screen she became a symbol of strength. After years of battling cancer, Lizzie's life ended on the 27th of June, 2024. Ryan Martin. Ryan Martin is one of the biggest names in Street Outlaws. With his sleek red Camaro Fireball and calm attitude, he quickly rose to the top of the list. He worked harder than most people ever knew. Ryan spent late nights studying data and tested setups in his garage, and that's what gave him the competitive edge in every race. He always wanted to be the best, and eventually he became the champion in No Prep Kings, earning respect from fellow racers. Fans witnessed a machine, always winning and always ready for the next race. But behind that strong image, Ryan faced a serious problem. In 2022, Ryan lost one of his closest friends and team members named Brandon James. He was more than just a crew member, he was like family for Ryan, but with his sudden passing, it left Ryan with a wound that never fully healed. Even with all the emotional crisis behind the scenes, Ryan still kept going, but he wasn't the same person anymore. With numerous emotional breakdowns along the way, Ryan was filled with a heavy burden of grief. People close to him said the pain stayed under the surface for too long. With every race he won, Ryan dedicated those wins to the people he lost along the way. He even helped younger racers to become better. Ryan Martin's resilience and focus showcased that behind every glorious win lies a process of enduring pain and failures. Daddy Dave. Daddy Dave was known for his fearlessness and relentless passion to win every game. Born as David Comstock on April 4, 1973 in Oklahoma, he was a key member of Street Outlaws from its early beginning. Fans loved his silver Chevy 2, widely known as Goliath. On every race night, you could count on Dave to give everything he had. Winning or losing was secondary for Dave. What truly mattered was showing up ready for each battle. Dave worked harder than ever and pushed beyond the limits to become the fastest. Racing wasn't just a part-time job for Dave, it was his only motive for life. His goal was clear and simple, to be the number one and stay there. But in 2015, everything changed. During a no-prep race in Amarillo, Texas, Dave lost control of his car, which eventually slammed into a wall, leaving no chance for survival. The crash was one of the worst accidents ever witnessed on the show, with many parts of his body deeply fractured and a car that totally looked destroyed. Dave was left with the choice to quit or to start rebuilding from scratch. Eventually, Daddy Dave chose to rebuild in style. He poured everything into the process of making Goliath 2.0. It felt much stronger and faster than ever before, but the journey of going back to the top wasn't easy. Along the process, he began to think about his family, who were most concerned about him and always prayed he returned safe after each race. That crash actually reminded him just how quickly everything could change. Fans still saw a tough racer in him, always embracing failures before chasing the real wins. He had been racing for decades, but now it was with a deeper purpose. Dave continues to compete on the show. He's always testing and tuning things that actually make the difference in reaching the top spot. Interestingly, he even takes time to help others and to share what he's learned over the years. He's been through the grueling challenges of life, and that gives him the wisdom that very few people possess. But while Dave found a new rhythm to life, another Street Outlaws favorite had his own reasons for pulling back. Big Chief. Justin Shearer, also known as Big Chief, became the face of Street Outlaws. From the very beginning, he wasn't just trying to be a racer. Instead, he wanted to be a leader of the 405 crew. Fans didn't just like him, they trusted him, unlike any other person on the show. While other reality shows felt scripted, Big Chief focused on keeping street racing real. Money mattered, of course, but even more than that, he cared for the people behind those cars. His dream was to make Street Outlaws the biggest street racing show ever, while still maintaining the trust of the viewers. But over time, things began to change. With new spin-offs, there were additional crew to handle and new rules to make the competition even more exciting. This led to conflicts behind the scenes regarding uneven opportunities given to specific racers while others were totally ignored. Chief didn't like how the show was shaping the racers. But then came the tipping point. Big Chief left the show during the America's List in 2022. He began shifting his focus away from the spotlight and choosing to spend more time working on cars in his own garage. He even revealed the real pressures of being the leader. The stress and fame added up over time, and began to realize that stepping away is the only way to stay true to yourself. Still, not every cast member had the chance to pull away on their own terms. Some were forced to say goodbye far too soon. Asian. Jeff Bonnet, better known as Asian, was considered as Farm Truck's sidekick. He wasn't the fastest racers on Street Outlaws. Instead, he was the most beloved character on the show. With his quick jokes and a close friendship with Farm Truck that felt more like brothers, Asian made the show feel special. While others chased power and speed, Asian focused on creativity. His builds are truly different. Like the Dung Beetle and the original Farm Truck, they didn't care about being number one. They just wanted to surprise people with unexpected wins and make the streets more fun to work. But as the show grew bigger, the pressure became even heavier and races turned out to be even more serious, so Asian eventually chose to follow his own path. Meanwhile, he stayed close to Farm Truck and continued to focus on new projects. They even launched their own spin-off show, Farm Truck and Asian, where they got back to what they loved. At the end of the day, fans began to realize his importance on the show. In a world where people chase fame and attention, stepping away was a life-changing decision that actually mattered. Sean "Murder Nova" Ellington. Sean Ellington, widely recognized as Murder Nova, was one of the toughest racers on Street Outlaws. For years, he was Big Chief's right-hand man. Together, they ruled the 405 list. But behind the scenes, things weren't always easy. Sean faced challenges regarding mental health struggles, including intense stress and anxiety. So Sean took a step back from the constant pressure of the show. Instead, he focused more on his family. He spent more time in his own shop, 187 Customs. He started building cars not just for the track, but for joy. Then something changed. He didn't have the pressure to win every race or to prove anything. Instead, he just showed up and stayed true to himself. But Sean wasn't the only one who faced a health scare that nearly cost him everything. Kai Kelly. Kai Kelly is also an interesting personality of the show. With his car, Shocker, as the name suggests, Kai proved to be a serious threat to the competition. He was first introduced during Street Outlaws, New Orleans series, where he quickly made a name for himself. Before long, he was racing against the best of the 405 and even defeating them by a large margin. But real life isn't always a straight road. His relationship with Lizzie made sure they supported each other during tough times. While Kai tried to stay focused on racing and leading the team from the forefront, instead people could see the emotional weight in his eyes. Being a top driver is hard enough, but doing it while your partner is battling cancer is a different kind of pressure. But Kai kept moving forward. Eventually, when Lizzie and Kai parted ways, he stayed respectful. Still, fans looked at Kai through a different lens. He's not the same guy behind the wheels anymore. Instead, he's grown into a person who's lived through real pain and still continued to conquer failures along the way. Precious Cooper. Precious Cooper was born on October 16, 1989 in Florida. At just 27 years old, fans got the first glimpse of her during the Memphis series. She quickly became known as Queen of the Streets, but then she suddenly vanished from the public eye. One day, she was winning races and holding herself on the street. The next, she was gone. Some thought maybe she was taking a break. Others feared a heartbreaking scenario behind the scenes. Her time on the show was short, but it was powerful. Despite everything, she's already proved herself and earned her crown. And speaking of leaving, there was one more cast member whose exit was just as sudden. Mallory Gully. Mallory Gully was one of the youngest faces on Street Outlaws, but she had built a strong impression from the very start. Mallory stood out from the rest, not because of her age or even her looks, but because of her control behind the wheels. But after just 4 seasons, something strange happened. Mallory stopped appearing altogether, and here's what we know. Mallory was faced with a choice, like many young people, to follow the fame that comes with racing or focus on her life outside of the show. And for her, living the real life felt far more important, because in the end, racing may have been the start of her journey, but it was never meant to be the end of her story. We often think of Street Outlaws as a show about fast cars, tough races, and loud engines. But when you slow down and look closer, you can really feel the emotions of the people's life behind those scenes. These aren't just racers, they're people, each with a unique story that showcase their strength and resilience behind the camera. So which member of Street Outlaws was your favorite, and who was the one you truly hated the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and click the next video on screen now for another interesting story.